MVP. Goal swung, right field. Forget about it. Rangers strike first. Goes after the first one. Drills a high fly ball. Left center field. This game is tied. From Javier. Seager hits a high fly ball. Deep right field. A bomb in the first. One swing. Drive. It's tied. Corey Seager smashes the ball down the line. Goodbye. Now Seager to right center field. Way back there. Shot again. Corey Seager does it again. It's Texas Rangers win the World Series. The Willie Mays Most Valuable Player Trophy presented by Chevrolet. Is there any doubt? Corey Seager.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you on a Wednesday evening, middle of the offseason, international signing class opening up today, January 15th. No, the Rangers aren't able to pull off Roki Sasaki, but 24 new players signed in this international class. Hanley Ramirez's son. We'll see if there are some hidden gems within the class. Hard to say right now, but we'll go through some of the highlights. Then, of course, a couple other things. We are going to talk through recent Rangers transactions, avoiding arbitration, of course, with catcher Jonah Heim, outfielder Leody Taveras. And we're going to talk through potential moves the Rangers still might yet make with about 1 month left before spring training begins. It's coming right around the corner, and we're getting excited. Football season has almost officially come to an end for us here at Right on Rangers. We're going to be doing, of course, some off-season shows for our Texas Longhorns and Dallas Cowboys, but getting pumped for baseball season to get into full effect, and I know some of y'all are too. So before we get going, y'all know the drill here at Right on Rangers. We cover everything sports, but we put a big emphasis on all the teams we love from the great state of Texas, including the Rangers, and especially the Rangers, even in the offseason. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Rangers content. I will get into your questions. We'll get into comments. Make sure we take care of all that along the way. And I will definitely go through everything that I've got for you. I always try and go to as many different articles and interviews as I can before the show. Of course, a lot of the hard-hitting work gets done by some of the Rangers beat writers, but I'll be the vessel imparting as much knowledge as I can. So here we go. Let's talk Roki Sasaki to start. So the Rangers informed on Monday, I believe, with a number of other teams that they were out of the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. Rangers made it pretty far. They made it to the Final Four, right? The Rangers were among the Blue Jays, the Padres, and the Dodgers for about an hour there, maybe two, of teams that were still left in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. News quickly distributed, probably middle afternoon on Monday, that the Rangers were out of the running, leaving the Blue Jays, the Dodgers, and the Padres as the possible teams for Roki Sasaki landing spots. My reaction, I think that the Rangers did well to make it as far as they did in the sweepstakes. I don't want to play the hater role. I don't want to flip the script here. We were very positive here on the show. A lot of y'all were too about Roki Sasaki. Definitely don't want to see him sign with the Dodgers. I think I've said that on a number of different occasions, even though it's looking like that is going to be the place where he eventually signs. Little bit of a long, drawn-out process. Not sure why it has to be so dramatic. Maybe building a little bit of a name for himself, getting some attention. I can't think of a whole lot of other options. But Roki Sasaki would have been an excellent fit for the Rangers. The Rangers, I do feel like, are in need of a number 3 starter. You've got clearly very, very top-heavy dudes. Nate Eovaldi. You've got Jacob deGrom. After that, I'm not saying the Rangers have scrubs behind Evo. and behind DeGrom, but I don't think that they have a bona fide number 3 starter. And I do think that the Rangers would do well to possibly go out and still get a starter. I know that there are some people that really just want to focus on the bullpen. I find myself somewhere in between. I don't know if Cody Bradford, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter, Dane Dunning, John Gray, I don't know how reliable those 5 names are going to be for you over the course of a 162-game season. I know I missed out on Tyler Mahle. I would echo the same sentiment on him. I feel pretty confident about the top 2. The 3, 4, 5, I think there's definitely a glass half full argument that you can take with Cody Bradford, with Tyler Mahle, with Kumar Rocker. I think there's potential there. Don't get me wrong. I would like, though, to see a consistent, solid, quality starter brought in to be behind those 2 front-end guys, DeGrom and Evo. I know the Rangers not really strongly linked to Jack Flaherty. We talked about Jack on the show last week. Rangers in articles kind of being linked to Jack as a team that maybe could improve the starting rotation and solidify it a little bit. Same can be said of the bullpen, of course. I would love a move bringing in a Jack Flaherty type. I think Jack has already come out and said through his agent he's willing to take a short-term deal, so it's not like you have to sign Jack Flaherty to a 5-year, 6-year contract. Clearly, you were in the running for Roki Sasaki, and perhaps that was just a you have to be kind of situation. Like, of course, you got to go try and get Roki. But I think the other side of that is, do the Rangers still see starting pitching as a legitimate need? They did say in the exit interviews, Chris Young did say in his exit interview back in October that signing Andrew Heaney and Nate Eovaldi was at the top of the priority list. Interesting that he threw in Andrew Heaney. You haven't heard Andrew Heaney's name thrown out there really at all beyond, I think, a Ken Rosenthal article I read where he was linked to the A's among a couple of other former Ranger starters like Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. So my mind goes to, might the Rangers, now that Roki Sasaki is out of the running, now that they have been rejected by Roki, might the Rangers turn to a Jack Flaherty? Might they continue to work their way, weave their way into the starting pitching market? We're all focused on the bullpen right now. I think we all can agree having a closer would be very, very ideal. I don't know how solid I feel about the bullpen right now without the addition of a veteran pitcher, one of the top names that's out there. I'm not saying it can't work. You added some good depth. You added Chris Martin. That's phenomenal. But I do think that the Rangers would be wise to add another quality starter and to add a reliever. I'm not putting all my eggs in the basket of one of those 5 starting pitchers that I named earlier. Again, let's go through them. Bradford, Mahle, John Gray, Dane Dunning, Kumar Rocker, throw in Jack Leiter, 6 guys. I see a lot of potential in those 6, but I also see a potential for it to go the other way as well. Cody Bradford has dealt with injuries. The home and away splits with Cody Bradford, we talked about this pretty extensively last week. It's ugly. Home, Cody Bradford is a much different pitcher than on the road. Maybe it was just dumb luck. But anytime Cody Bradford started on the road, it was not a great start. Tyler Mahle, often injured over the past couple of seasons. John Gray, ditto, often injured. Dane Dunning dealt with injuries, had a down year last year. Jack Leiter, a lot to prove. Kumar Rocker, a lot to prove. I would go out and solidify my starting rotation. I think you got to be giving Jack Flaherty's agent a call. There are some other guys that are out there. We'll go through a few other names as we get deep into the show. But right now, my full focus would be one more starting pitcher. Go get that closer as well. Maybe it's Yates. Maybe it's Minter. And you do a little combo with Martin and Minter. I think you can get creative. But you need one other veteran guy that can really solidify that 8th and 9th inning for you. Okay, there we go. There's the opener for y'all. Now let's get into the comments. And of course, I got a few other things along the way. But I appreciate all of y'all hanging out. Thank you to everybody watching on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. I appreciate all y'all as well. I'm going to do my best to play some catch up here on the show. Let me start with YouTube real quick. By the way, yes, Rangers going to Victory Plus. Ty, good call. If you called Victory Plus, that's a good call. Now, these games aren't going to be free like the Stars games are. Believe it's going to be about $100 subscription to Victory Plus. And you can imagine probably some blackouts for nationally televised games on Fox and ESPN. But a majority of the games you're going to be able to see on Victory Plus. I'm curious to see how this is going to work with MLB TV, if it's pretty traditional with the blackouts as usual. For a guy like me living in Vegas with 6 different major league teams claiming Las Vegas as a territory, that's something always at the forefront of my mind. All y'all living in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or in Texas, you probably don't have to worry about that too much. I'm curious if I buy the Victory Plus subscription, if I'll be able to have access to all the games despite my location. Those are things that I want to find out. Clearly, most Rangers fans living in Texas, the majority of them, but there's Rangers fans all across the nation, including myself. And I would really like to know how that's going to work. $100, that seems actually like a pretty good deal. If I could get guaranteed every Rangers game, I probably wouldn't even buy MLB TV. Honestly, following the Rangers is enough for me. Yeah, if I'm bored on an off day for the Rangers, I might flip on something from MLB TV, but I would much rather spend the $100 on Victory Plus as long as I can watch every Rangers game and not get blacked out. I have a feeling, though, it's probably going to be location-based, so Victory Plus probably going to block me out whenever they play the Angels out here. That's one of the teams that claims Las Vegas. Whenever we play the Dodgers or the Padres, the Diamondbacks, any of the Bay Area teams, well, one of the Bay Area teams, the only Bay Area team now that the A's have moved to Sacramento. I'm sure I'll get blocked out of the Sacramento games. I don't know. I'm hoping for the best. More to come, but I'm glad the Rangers finally do work out the deal with Victory Plus. I think that's huge. You really needed to make sure that you got the best deal for yourself when you were talking about the money coming in. MLB, Bally, from what it sounds like, the Rangers would have been making a little bit less with those two. Glad that the Rangers finally get some closure on this TV deal. Look, I don't know how big of a deal it really is. I think it got built up to be something that it really wasn't. The Rangers spent plenty of money without announcing this TV deal. I know maybe it felt like a few people, a few Rangers fans that I've run into and talked to were really thinking that the big reveal on the TV deal or streaming deal was going to be monumentous. The Rangers have spent plenty of money, and they probably knew that they had this in their pocket the entire time. But it's not like the Rangers, what I'm really trying to say, have struck up some deal that's now going to be some huge game changer for them in the free agent market, for example. But I am glad that there's some closure on it. Don't get me wrong. Let me keep going here. Appreciate everybody hanging out. Let's see. Natalie says, I think I'm good with just getting a closer. We could also get another starter at the deadline. Look, if the Rangers don't get a starter in free agency right now, I mean, I can live with it, but I really do think you need another one. The Rangers did not have one starter beyond Andrew Heaney that made it through the entire season without an injury. And you guys got to know, I am all on board with guys like Cody Bradford, with guys like Kumar Rocker. I think those guys are going to be studs. I think they've got a lot of development yet to do. I don't think they've hit a plateau by any means, but I can't say in 2025, I want to rely on them solely to be the guys I count on in the rotation. I think Cody Bradford, he's shown you glimpses. The home away splits trouble me a little bit. I hope that that was just a weird, dumb luck, silly trend that happened to him in 2024. But I would like to have a vet, somebody that's reliable, somebody that's done it, proved it at the highest level. I think a Jack Flaherty type would be a valuable asset to this rotation. If you have any struggles from Jack Leiter, if Kumar Rocker struggles, if Cody Bradford hits an injury, my point is, if one of those guys goes down or is underperforming, suddenly the rotation's not looking that great. It's not. I mean, look, DeGrom, Evo, one of those guys goes down, God forbid, you're going to be happy that we signed Jack Flaherty. So I know that there's some negativity around getting another starter. I really don't get it. The Rangers are one starting pitching injury away from having a very blah, meh rotation. They've got a lot of potential. That doesn't mean it's going to translate to surefire success in 2025. I don't know if you can go into the season and base all of your decisions based on what could be. I want to base some decisions based on what has been, knowing that I can count on a Jack Flaherty type to give me quality innings. And when I say quality, I mean every time he takes the mound, there's a potential to win a ball game. I do think closer is going to get taken care of, but I would love to see a starting pitcher signed as well. Baseball Network, what's good, man? Yeah, the Rangers signed, by the way, the comment from Baseball Network, A-Rod is a Ranger. Rangers signed a guy named Alex Rodriguez in their international signing class today. Saw a lot of A-Rod jokes online today. That was great. Rangers also signed the son of Hanley Ramirez, Hansel Ramirez. So interesting there. Hansel Ramirez, there was a pic sent out going around social media today with Big Papi, with Hanley Ramirez, and then, of course, Hansel Ramirez as well. He's a third baseman, just like his dad. So, hey, I like that move. Absolutely. Let's see. Left-handed hitting Roki Rodriguez, who is outfield and infield. He had the highest signing bonus of, I think, $1 or $1.1 million, if I'm not mistaken. Look, I don't know if there's anybody huge that we really need to spend a lot of time on in the international signing class, maybe beyond Hansel Ramirez. I think that is a pretty big name getting signed there. Always draws attention when you have MLB in the blood already. Obviously, Hanley Ramirez playing at a high level in Major League Baseball for a number of years. So we'll have to see on some of these guys that just got signed. Might Texas not yet be done in the international signings, especially with Roki Sasaki now going elsewhere? You probably got some money to spend here. And you could also get creative with some trades with some of the other teams that are in the running for Sasaki. You might be able to do some trading with those teams, getting rid of some of the money that you had set aside for Roki Sasaki in that international signing class. So we'll see what happens. But let me keep going here. Appreciate it. 62 cents per game on cost. Yeah, it's not bad. Look, I mean, watching a Rangers game for 62 cents a pop, yeah, that's nothing to me. Absolutely. Let me keep going. Natalie says, believe it's all games, including spring training, except national ones. Yep, makes sense to me. I really do hope, Baseball Network, that you're right on this one. I really hope there's no blackouts with Victory Plus, but who knows? I'm really curious to see what ends up happening with that. More so for people like me living out of Texas, right? Out of state, especially in a territory like Vegas where 6 different teams claim Las Vegas as a territory. I think that's criminal. So many of the games on MLB TV get blacked out for me. It's almost not even worth the subscription. I know there's like wonky ways around it, and I'm well aware of that. All the VPNs and shortcuts that you can take. I totally get it. Although MLB TV is pretty crazy with the detection software, but there's other ways you can watch games still. I like to be able to just pay for something and not have to find all those crazy workarounds. I'd gladly pay $100. I'd gladly pay $150 if it just meant that every night when I get home, I can flip on a Rangers game and I don't have to worry, is this game blacked out? Am I going to be able to pull this game up? So absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let me keep going. I'm going to get TikTok caught up here. I appreciate all y'all. You guys have been so patient. If you're still hanging out, no, I appreciate you. Unlike my Cowboys and Longhorns, what I like about this group we've got going, first of all, I'm able to catch up with the comments, but I like it a lot less trolls, a lot more diehards. So I appreciate all y'all hanging out. We get some Astros trolls coming in occasionally. Y'all take care of them for me pretty nicely. But look, I got to say, the Rangers pods are always my favorite. Appreciate all you guys. Let's see. When does baseball start? That's a good one. Hey, right on cue, Mike, if you're still hanging out, when does baseball start? 14 to 28 weeks. I see what you did there. Come on now. Come on now. All right, let me keep going. Let's see. What do I got? Actually, I was doing pretty good. Appreciate the gifts, by the way. Thank you so much. And thank you for anybody that followed. Hayden, let's go Rangers. Appreciate the comment, bud. Let's go. Let's see. Bring back Josh Hamilton in his prime. I wish. Do I think we managed to bring back Kirby? I think Kirby is going to be well sought after by a number of different teams. I think the Rangers are absolutely interested in bringing him back. Now that Roki Sasaki is not going to be a Texas Ranger, I do expect the Rangers to make some moves, and I do think that you're going to see some dominoes start to fall in other places around the league as well. A lot of teams, the Cubs, the Giants, the Yankees, a number of different teams getting notified that they are out of the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. I do think you're going to start to see some things heat up. We're in the home stretch here, y'all. We got 1 month basically left until spring training. So I think we're going to start to see some moves. I think Kirby Yates is absolutely up at the top of the priority list. I don't know if the Rangers are going to be able to pull it off or not. I think they're playing a little coy right now. Y'all saw the Fenster Maker quote where he basically said, we feel good about who we have. Like Chris Martin, we can roll with him closing games. Look, I'm putting a couple of words in his mouth, but I'm giving you the gist. So I don't know if I buy Fenster Maker and what he's saying. I think the Rangers are very much in play for a couple more pitchers. I think they're doing due diligence in the starting pitching market. I think they're doing the same thing, trying to go out and get a reliever to solidify the back end. Look, maybe they're feeling good about Spores when he gets back from injury, but that's another guy, as much as I love Sporsy, the guy that closed out the World Series, it's another guy I'm not counting on. Like, if you want Josh Spores to be your 8th inning guy, like, I get the concept. It's good in theory if he can stay healthy the entire time. But I've told y'all, and I hope to be wrong, I wonder if Josh Spores and that run that we went on in 2023, obviously it ended up in a World Series and in glory, but a lot of people have mused, did that mess up Josh Spores' shoulder? That run, that overuse, I don't want to call it overuse like they abused the guy, but you know what I mean? It's a long run beyond the regular season. You got 162 regular season games, then you play a whole month more of baseball. I really hope Josh Spores gets 100% healthy and stays that way, but I don't know if I'm trusting Josh Spores as my 8th inning guy. It's not a bad guy to have in there. Like, it's not the worst situation in the world. But beyond that, I don't think there's anybody else the Rangers have right now in the bullpen that I would really want to throw out there in the 8th inning. I'm assuming we don't sign anybody, and Chris Martin is the 9th inning guy. So if C-Mart is the 9th inning guy, who do you pitch in the 8th inning? I'm thinking like maybe I'd trust like a John Gray if you had him in the bullpen, if you decided he's not going to be a starter. But I kind of think they are going to have John Gray in the starting rotation, so I don't even think he's going to be an option. And I don't think Jack Leiter, for example, is going to be an 8th inning guy. I think they still very much want him to be a long man, be a guy that you can throw into the rotation here and there. I'm not going to be surprised if the Rangers do a 6-man rotation and maybe occasionally sub somebody in and out. So look, the options are limited. I really feel like you almost have to go out and sign somebody. I know that the Rangers are playing coy, saying that they feel good where they're at with the relief pitching. I don't know, y'all. We're not baseball GMs, but I think that all of us can look at the bullpen as currently constructed and say to ourselves, yeah, need another guy. Need somebody else. In fact, let me read y'all something real quick. So this was actually before the Chris Martin signing. All right. This was before the Chris Martin signing. There were a couple of different people musing in the baseball world about the state of the bullpen. So Eno Saris from The Athletic, he included the Rangers bullpen situation in an article that he wrote. This was before the C-Mart signing. Okay. So take this with a grain of salt. But Saris went on to write, this is one of the worst 15 situations among the best 15 teams. So, hey, look, at least he put the Rangers in the top 15. But he said this is one of the worst 15 situations among the best 15 teams. He noted that the club's entire bullpen, even after picking up Garcia, Armstrong, as well as Jacob Webb, Homie Milner, projects like a 2 WAR overall, right? Not very good. Like you look at Tanner Scott, his WAR was, I think, 5+. So right now, before the Chris Martin signing, the projection was 2 WAR. And Saris went on to write, this Rangers bullpen is a fright. Ranked 20th by the depth charts. Again, before the C-Mart signing, C-Mart probably knocks him up a few pegs. It could use a topper. The team's about $12 million short of the first tax apron, though, so that might limit them from Tanner Scott. Could Estevez be the guy for them? Estevez, formerly from the on the Angel squad, of course. And then he goes on to say, along with Estevez, maybe they could try fireballing prospect Emiliano Teodo in the pen. He hasn't been able to keep his walk rates down. This is Teodo he's talking about here, but the stuff is nasty. This pen needs some work. So again, this was before the C-Mart signing. I'd be interested to hear his take after the C-Mart signing. But even with C-Mart, I still think you need somebody else. So for me, got to go out and get at least a guy that can be solid for you in the 8th inning if you're not going to go out and get a bona fide closer. And as I said to begin the show, I'd love to see the Rangers pursue one more quality arm in the starting rotation. Don't trust all of the guys that the Rangers have. They do have a lot of dudes, but I don't know how good the Rangers rotation is going to look if one of them goes down. Keep going here. Let's see. A lot of y'all are going to pay for the Victory Plus. Makes a lot of sense. I mean, look, if you're a diehard, $100 for a 162 game season. Yeah, I'm in. I'm in totally. Let me keep going here. Appreciate all y'all. Thank you for hanging out. Let's see if I missed anything. Will the Yankees go back to the World Series? I'm going to say no. It's hard to get back to a World Series. Like the Rangers, they did it in 2010, 2011. It's hard to make it back to a World Series. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Texas Rangers, but I might be a little biased. Let me say, you know the Cowboys are irrelevant when I have Rangers talk on TikTok. Nah, if you're a real one, you know we do this every week. But good try. Let's see. All right. I hate it when TikTok does that to me. Scrolled me all the way to the very front. Keep going. John Gray is definitely a starter or long relief. I think if the Rangers don't sign another bullpen piece, you might want to think about him in the late innings, kind of like they did in some of the playoff games in 2023. I'd rather have John Gray than Sean Armstrong, for example, in the 7th or 8th inning. I mean, look, no disrespect to Sean Armstrong. I probably trust John Gray a little bit more. I don't know. I think that you're going to have to get a little bit cute, a little bit creative if you don't end up going out and getting another reliever. Let's see. Chris says, I don't trust Spores. Look, with all the injuries, I think at one point I definitely trusted Spores. 2023, I was actually glad he was in the game in that 9th inning, closing that out. But I think with the injuries, I have to feel the same way. I kind of agree. I don't completely trust Josh Spores is going to come back, be a dominant relief guy, and stay healthy. I really hope to be wrong. Let me keep going. Who would be the biggest, most realistic trade piece as of right now? I think John Gray. I said on last week's show, you've got a couple of guys, relief pitching, obviously being a priority right now. I think you've got a couple of starting pitching arms, Tyler Mahle, John Gray. That tandem is making about $30 million next year, or this season, I should say. I think Mahle is making $16 million plus, and John Gray's making $13+ million as well. So for me, those are the top two guys that you look to trade. Adolis Garcia, he's making less than both those dudes. I think he's making like $6 or $7 million, right? So I don't think Adolis Garcia is even close. Marcus Semien, I know his name got thrown around a little bit in the offseason, but I think you would have to extremely wow Chris Young to trade Marcus Semien. You'd have to be getting a king's ransom. because the Rangers are still in win now mode. This isn't a rebuild. So I don't think Simi either. I think it's got to be Tyler Mahle and John Gray as the two primaries. I know Leote and Jonah Heim, I've thrown their names in the hat. Each of them settling, by the way, with the Rangers for around $5 million. Rangers haven't gone to an arbitration hearing since the year 2000. And that was a hearing that the Rangers won. I don't know if you guys remember Lee Stevens. He was a first baseman for the Rangers back in 2000. That was the last arbitration hearing that the Rangers organization went to. It's pretty wild. I think that's a big credit to all of the Texas Rangers front office people, Daniels, now CY, and Fenstermaker and Figueroa. That's awesome. There are a lot of clubs that aren't even close to last hearing being in 2000. Look, Nate Lowe, for example, he's going to an arbitration hearing with the Washington Nationals. What a welcome for Nate Lowe, man. I feel bad for the guy. Look, first month with the new club, and you're going to an ARB hearing. I think they're like $2 million apart. I think Nate, I forget what Nate wants, if it was like $13 million or something. And the Nats want to pay him like 11. I don't know. It was something like that. It was like a $2 million difference. So, sorry. He filed 11.1. Nats filed at 10.3. We're talking about $800,000 difference here. I don't know if Nate Lowe is going to win that or not. I think he'll probably win 11.1 just based on the Gold Glove finalists and also the consistency with his average, with the RBI, with the homers. Nate had a lot of struggles last year at different times, but he finished the year really strong. And if you look at the numbers that he's put up, I think he might be able to get that 11.1 million. I really do. All right, back on track here. Let me keep going. Gio, what's good? Thanks for hanging out. It's been a little while, my friend. Go Rangers. Aaron, what's good, man? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the comment as well. Maybe keep Urania now as a reliable long reliever. But Urania is a free agent right now, correct? So you'd have to go back out and re-sign Urania. I wonder what Urania is asking on the free agent market. Urania, somebody that I think absolutely did a great job for us filling in with all the different injuries that we had. But Urania, I don't know what he is going to be commanding in free agency. I'd be really, really surprised if he ends up getting the double-digit millions. I think that is a guy. You look at Mike Lorenzen, for example, signing with the Royals for I think about $7 million. I think Lorenzen signed like a 1-year, $7 million deal. So could the Rangers go out and get an Urania type for insurance, for long relief? Maybe. Personally, as much as I loved Jose and what he was able to do filling in, I thought he did a very admirable job, giving us probably more than what we expected of him. I think the Rangers need to shoot just a little bit higher, but we'll see what they're able to afford. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford a Jack Flaherty type. Flaherty willing to do a short-term deal. I think that makes him very, very attractive. Maybe you didn't want to give him a 3 or 4 year deal. If he's willing to take a 1 or 2 year deal with some opt-outs sprinkled in there, I would love something like that. Keep going. Do I think there's a chance they go over the luxury tax? If it's no, I don't know we have the money. Well, I don't know if they're going to go over the luxury tax, but I could see them getting creative with trades to stay under it and get some more space in order to avoid that. So I do think that we're going to probably see some trades if the Rangers do go out and get a big name guy for the 8th or 9th inning, whether it's a Kirby Yates or a Tanner Scott or a Kenley Jansen, whoever it might be. I think if they sign one of those 3 guys, you're going to see them make some moves to relieve the salary a little bit. All right, let me keep going here. Let's keep going here. What do we got? Let's see. So are we going 162-0 or are my expectations a little too high? Look, I love it. I appreciate it, man. Chris, I love the spirit. I think the Rangers are going to be a 90-win team. I came out and made that proclamation a couple of weeks ago. I think the Rangers are going to get to 90 wins. The over-under in Vegas on the Rangers win total is about 85.5 right now. I do think they're definitely going over 85.5. I see them going probably 91 and maybe, 91 and 71 or 92 and 70, something like that. That would be my prediction. If we can stay healthy, Chris, I think that is an important caveat, right? You lose a big name here or there in the lineup, in the rotation, it starts getting a little dicey. But I do think if we can mostly stay healthy, I see us being a 90-win team, winning the AL West. Look, the Astros, for whatever reason, are favored above the Rangers, not in like a small way, like in a significant way in the odds to win the World Series and in the AL West odds as well. There are some people, though, that do think the Rangers are going to win the AL West around the sport. Jim Bowden from The Athletic, he thinks the Rangers are going to be winning the AL West. He gives the Rangers offseason a B+ so far in his most recent article. Here's what he says. The Rangers have had a strong offseason, adding significant power to their lineup with the trade for Jake Berger and the signing of Jock Peterson. The duo combined for 52 home runs last season with their respective teams. I loved the signing, Bowden writes, of Higashioka to improve the catcher position. Bringing back Eovaldi to anchor the rotation was a must, and they got it done with a market contract. The pickup of Garcia should not be overlooked, Robert Garcia, right? As the southpaw should really help their bullpen depth. Another under-the-radar move of note, this is, again, Jim Bowden of The Athletic writing about the Rangers offseason. Skip Schumacher, an under-the-radar move, who was hired as a senior advisor to President of Baseball Ops Chris Young. Skip gives the Rangers their long-term answer at manager whenever Bruce Bochy decides to retire, something that I've said to y'all a number of different times. So Bowden's biggest question about the Rangers, will they be able to sign a closer like Tanner Scott, Carlos Estevez, or Kirby Yates in free agency? That's their biggest need. So I think the Rangers are definitely going to be in that market for that closer. We'll see what else they do. But Bowden ultimately predicts the Rangers will win the AL West even before signing a closer. So Bowden feels even if we don't go out and get a closer, we'll be winning the AL West. Absolutely love hearing things like that because it does feel like a lot of people still have that Astros bias, if you will, in their minds. Astros have obviously been a really, really good team for a number of years, as much as we hate them here at Right On Rangers. The Astros have won a lot of games, and they played a lot of October baseball. I do think that for the casual fan or for the person that really doesn't follow the Rangers that closely, I think recency bias, how much success the Astros have had, you're going to have a lot of people naturally jump on them as a favorite to win the AL West over the Rangers. I think there's really good value in the Rangers because they get slept on a lot, and they have a really, really good team that really underperformed last year. I think you're going to see a bounce back. Really do. Let me keep going. If Seattle could score, they'd be nearly unbeatable. That's, I think, the reason why they don't get rated over the Rangers or the Astros. They have a very good pitching rotation, probably one of the best in the major leagues. But, yeah, they can't hit. I think they had one of the worst batting averages in Major League Baseball as well. By the way, speaking of, like, ranking teams and all that, MLB came out with their power rankings, and the Rangers left off the top 11. Don't know how I feel about that. I'm sure they're in the top 15, but I think the Rangers could be in this top 11. I really do. Let me read y'all the top 11 or the top 10. Dodgers number 1, Phils number 2, Yanks number 3. Mets number 4, Braves coming in at 5, Padres at 6. Orioles at 7, D-backs at 8, Astros at 9, Brewers at 10. And there's your power rankings coming into the season so far. Now, the Rangers go get a closer. Maybe that changes. I don't know. But look, here's the bullpen board material that you need. Put those power rankings, print out the tweet, and put that on the bulletin board in the clubhouse. Dude, nobody even thinks you're sniffing the top 10. I really think that this plays well for the Rangers and their comeback in 2025. You don't have a lot of people giving them a lot of respect right now. Not in a lot of power rankings, not in a lot of top tens. And I think they deserve to be there. This is a team that could very easily win the AL West if they can stay healthy, get some positive years, get some even slight bounce back years from an Adolis Garcia type, a Jonah Heim type. Clearly, I'm bullish on the Rangers, but y'all see the team that I'm wearing on my shirt right now. So take it for what it is. All right, let's keep going. Let me get to TikTok here. See what we got. I need this mediocre team to bring me joy again. I don't know, Caleb. I don't think this is a mediocre team, man. Not right now. Last year, of course, they were. I don't think they're a mediocre team right now. I think the Rangers have a lot of pieces. Go get a closer, and I think it all fits together perfectly. Go get a closer and a number 3 starter. Now we're really cooking with gas. Gio says, Rangers feel like the 6th best team once they get a closer and are healthy. I was about to say, I feel like you look at some of the teams at the back end of that top 10 that I just read out. So the Brewers, the Astros, the Diamondbacks, even the Orioles. I know the Orioles for a number of years have been this up-and-coming team, so much talent, and then they just crap the bed in October. I don't fear the Orioles. I mean, for good reason. We beat them 3-0 in the divisional round, and it's much of the same guys. And maybe you can make the argument they're getting older, they're getting more experience, some of those young guys. They did the same thing last year. They lost Corbin Burns. Personally, I'm not afraid of the Orioles at all. I'd put the Rangers right up there with the Orioles at this point. I mean, the Rangers have Wyatt Langford and Evan Carter. If Evan Carter can be what he was in 2023, Wyatt Langford, I think, is only going to get better. I think he'll go 25-25 this year. Don't sleep on the Rangers' young talent. They've got a ton of it. And pun intended there, Josh Young, add his name in. We've got a ton of young talent on this team. And so while you think about the O's and their drafts and how many great up-and-comers they have, I'll go ahead and match them one by one with young, talented players that the Rangers have. And, oh, by the way, we have a Corey Seager type. We have a Marcus Semien. We have a Jacob deGrom. We have the star power. The Orioles don't. You lost Santander. You've got the Gunnar Hendersons of the world. Wish the Rangers would have drafted him. Got to bring that up. But I don't think that the Rangers are far behind the Orioles, if at all. Diamondbacks, I feel the same way. Astros, I feel like the Rangers are ahead of the Astros right now. Brewers, I know they've got some good guys on the squad, but I'd put the Rangers right up there with the Brewers as well. I think it's a bit of recency bias. These are all teams that had good years in 2024. Rangers had a down year. I'm not shocked they get left off the top 10, but I think they deserve to be there. Keep going. If we get Young and Carter back to healthy, we'll win the division, no doubt. I think a lot of this really does boil down to the young guys. I think Corey Seager is going to give you what Corey Seager normally does. He's probably going to hit 30 bombs and sniff 100 RBI, maybe hit 275 to 300. I think pencil in Corey Seager for that, for sure. If he can stay healthy for 140, 50 games, I think he's only made it to 120 the past couple of seasons, 120-ish. He could go over that. He could do 35, 110 possibly. But then the young guys, Josh Young, Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, if those 3 guys have really good years, I think it is over in the AL West. If you've got Langford, Carter, Young scuffling, if Marcus Semien continues to slide like he did last year, Marcus Semien didn't have a great year in 2024. I really feel good about him bouncing back in 25, but we can't have another year like that from our leadoff hitter. You've got to have a leadoff hitter that's over 350 in the OBP department. I think Marcus was very low 300s last year, OBP. And the average was in the 230s, I believe. We've got to have better from Marcus, especially if he's going to be our leadoff guy again. But I think the 3 young guys are going to make or break this lineup. If we can get all of them right, all of them living up to their potential or close to it, it could be scary in the AL West. This team could get scary good quickly. You keep going here. Orioles fumble the ball in October, 100%. Appreciate the follow, by the way. Chris, thank you so much if you're still hanging out. Let me keep going. Garcia is making 7. Yep, that sounds about right. Let's see. If Monty is super cheap, I'd very much go for him. So interesting, Jordan Montgomery, he was actually somebody else that I noted just doing all my research and doing all my reading before the show. So Jordan Montgomery, there's a few guys that could potentially be there's a few, I should say, spots for Jordan Montgomery that actually got noted by Nick Deeds, who's from MLB Trade Rumors. He considers the Rangers kind of a long shot to go get Jordan Montgomery along with the Cubs and the Orioles. He does have the A's, the Braves, and the White Sox as teams that would be quality fits. And then the Astros, Mariners, and Mets kind of as the next tier down. Any deal with Jordan Montgomery, you got to think that the Diamondbacks are going to be eating a lot of that salary. So I don't think Jordan Montgomery is going to be back in the mix for Texas. I think after that year that he had, I do feel like he'll probably bounce back with the full spring training. Clearly, Montgomery didn't get the benefit of that holding out as long as he did last year, and I think it's a big reason he struggled. But I would not be jumping, over the moon to go get Jordan Montgomery after that year. I think a lot of us said to ourselves after that 2023 run, love everything about Monty and what he did for us, dethroning the Astros. It was an incredible run. Isn't that, though, kind of possibly the best season he's ever going to have? And so when he went to the Diamondbacks, you kind of said to yourself, I'm okay with it, especially when he went for the price that he did, $22.5 million or whatever it was. I think a lot of us quietly said to ourselves, thanks for the memories. Don't think we need to spend $22.5 million on Jordan Montgomery. And the Rangers made a good bet there. They made a great bet because had they invested that much money and gotten what they got from Jordan Montgomery in 2024, that would have been devastating. That can hamstring you for so long with those poor contracts. Now, Montgomery's only a 2-year deal. I think the Rangers, long shot to get him back. It's kind of a fun story. I'm actually okay, though, if he doesn't come back. I think that it might be for the best with especially how much talent the Rangers have right now in the starting pitching, how much young talent they have in the starting pitching department. All right, Chris says, what about Walcott? What do we do with him? I think Walcott might get a call up at the end of this year, depending on how he progresses. I don't know if they're going to be in a hurry to bring him up. He really doesn't have a clear-cut place to play, barring an injury, which, of course, we don't want to happen at all. I know the Corey Seager to first base move has gotten thrown a lot around Rangers Nation. I do think that might be in the works, but maybe in 3 years or something like that. I do really think what do you do with Walcott in the years to come? Might they move Corey Seager to more of a DH role within the next couple of years and transition him to first base? Might you move off of Marcus Semien to make room? I really hope they don't mess around with his position and move him to the outfield. I'm not in love when teams do that. I think sometimes it's for the best. But when they do it at the major league level after a guy has played infield almost the entire minor league career, I have pause. So I've got to think that they're going to shuffle around Seager or trade somebody when Walcott is ready. Maybe there's some other strategy or maybe there's some other solution out there, but that's the only thing that makes logical sense to me. Josh Young's not going anywhere. It's got to be either Corey Seager or Marcus Semien either transitioning to more of a DH role or moving positions altogether or getting traded. And I don't think they're going to be trading Corey Seager. I think they'd trade Marcus before they traded Seager away. And I don't know how easy it would be to trade Marcus. The contract is pretty sizable. There's probably a team out there that would like to have a guy like him. So I think that we could get it done. I personally don't want to see it happen. I love Marcus Semien. I'm just playing out all the scenarios in my mind if Walcott were to somehow be MLB ready, at the end of this year, what you would have to do. it would get a little bit tricky this year for sure. Let me keep going. Let's see. Baseball Network. I'm not a big fan of Walcott. I've never really liked him. I have a feeling that Walcott will be a bust. I don't know if a lot of people would agree with you, man. I think that Baseball America, I think I read this out a couple weeks ago. Baseball America is super high on Sebastian Walcott. Super high. Thinks he's going to be a 5-tool player. This was an article I read just in the winter months over the offseason. So I would say the adjustment that he made, I think it was at the beginning of the 2024 season. He kind of started off a little rough last year in the minors, did Walcott. And then he made an adjustment and he took off. And he had a great finish to the 2024 campaign. Baseball America was absolutely fawning over him as a Rangers top prospect. Look, I know Baseball America is not everything, but I think a lot of people are pretty bullish on Walcott right now. But I will say this, to your point, it's hard for these prospects to come up and kill it. You know, we like to think that some of these prospects down on the farm are going to come up and be all-stars right away. It's actually pretty rare that ends up happening. Like, it is hard to jump from the minors to the majors and sustain success. It's a minority of players that do that. And so I do think if you're down on Walcott for any reason, you definitely probably have stats on your side. Like, the chances of him being an all-star, one of the greatest to ever play the game, are not super high. But I do think that Walcott is a good player and is continuing to get better and better. That's got to give you confidence. And a lot of people around the baseball world feel the same way. We'll have to see what happens, though. Who knows until he takes the field at the major league level and proves himself one way or another. All right, we keep going here. Let me get back down to the bottom here. Let's keep going. Ceiling on Walcott is crazy. I'd have to agree. Got a feeling Jack Leiter takes a huge step forward. Travis, thanks so much for the comment, man. Appreciate you. I would love for that to be true. Now, I'll be totally honest. Leiter is a guy, kind of like Baseball Network with Walcott, that I definitely am not super, super high on having a great 2025. Like, I don't think Leiter is going to stink, be terrible, but I really don't know if Leiter is going to become that guy that we drafted with the number 2 overall pick or whatever it was 4 years ago. Like, I hope to be wrong. I hope that y'all can give me the hardest time, make me eat crow for my Leiter prediction. I think Leiter is probably going to do a little more of the same. Maybe we get a slight uptick, but personally, I just don't see Jack Leiter taking that huge step this year and becoming like a solid number 3 guy. Like, I don't see it. I think Kumar Rocker, a better candidate to take a big step than Jack Leiter, but I really hope that I'm wrong. I hope Leiter turns the corner this year. If he doesn't, I've been on saying multiple times, I think this might be a make or break year for him. If Leiter does not improve this year, you're in the front office and you're in the meetings. What do you keep saying? Hey, next year's his year. He hadn't done anything to show us over the past 2 seasons that it's going to be, but I don't know. The Rangers, I will say, do hold on to guys for a while. Like, look at Cole Winn. Cole Winn was a 2018 draft pick. That was 7 years ago. Cole Winn was drafted 7 years ago by the Rangers, first-round pick, and he's still in the system after that terrible campaign last year with the 7.79 ERA or whatever he had. So maybe the Rangers are going to just give Leiter an extremely long runway, just like they have for Cole Winn. I hope that Leiter is much, much better than he was in 2024. We'll see. I'm not super, super high on that prediction, though. All right, keep going. We might be spoiled with Carter and Langford being so good out the gate. That's what I'm saying. Like, you definitely can fall into that. You've got some top prospects in the game coming up and killing it. People don't realize how rare that is. For every guy that comes up and kills it, Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford, I feel like there's 10 that just fall flat on their face when they get their promotion to the big leagues, eventually get sent back down. It's not a super, super high probability that these top prospects end up being all-stars perennially. I think that they come up and they can be solid players, no doubt, but I just don't know if a lot of these guys ever end up really living to the hype on a consistent basis. Again, I think it's got to be like 1 in 10 live up to the hype. There's your obvious ones like Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg, guys like that who were coming up and just had success right away in the big leagues. Mike Trout would be another one. Those guys are rare. Look, and there's a lot of top prospects that come up and become great, solid, everyday players, but they're not all stars. They're not the faces of the league. So I just say keep your expectations low with Walcott. If he can be just a solid bottom of the order hitter, maybe a 6-7 hole guy, that could be great, right? But you pump these guys up, you have the expectations set to level 10, and then they let you down. I'm going to keep my expectations low with Walcott, be encouraged, go glass half full with my perspective on him, hope that he does become the next Corey Seager, but I'm not going to allow myself to be disappointed if he's not. So we'll see what he does this year, how well he's doing in the minors, and if the Rangers might decide to pull him up at some point, depending on the context of the season. Let me keep going. All right. I'm going to catch up here. I mean, look at Foscue. Foscue is another guy. Like, what do you do with him? He looked lost at some points last year. It was ugly. I felt bad for him. I never cheer for guys to fail, but you got to call it like it is, right? I know there's some Rangers fans that are going to defend some of these players to the death, no matter how bad they're sucking. But Foscue looked completely over his skis at the plate, especially at the end there before he got benched and then sent down ultimately. I really hope Justin Foscue can turn a corner. He had such a great spring training last year. Do y'all remember that? He had a great spring training. There was talk, maybe it's going to be Foscue who makes the roster and Wyatt Langford is going to be playing AAA. That was actually like a real conversation in spring training last year, if y'all remember. So Foscue, after a great spring training, just totally fell off a cliff. I hope that he can get it back. Another first-round guy, I think you're going to have to make a decision on this year. You dropped Wenzel, who is another first-round guy. I got to think that if Foscue does not step it up this year, he's going to be another guy on the chopping block. I mean, how long can you hold on to these guys when they're not showing you potential, when they plateaued and they're not showing you signs of getting better? I do wonder how much longer is Justin Foscue going to be a Texas Ranger if he has another season like what he did in 2024. All right. Yeah, he's always been very solid in AAA. Is that what you're trying to say? I think a lot of guys are like that. They can do really well in AAA. You send them up to the majors, and it is a vast difference in ability, in talent. It's a big step. And I think some guys are not able to handle it, and they are just kind of perennially really good AAA players. I call them quadruple A players. Like, they kill it in AAA, but you bring them up to the bigs and they just can't hack it. Maybe that's Justin Foscue. That was kind of Sam Huff's MO for a while. Then Sam Huff started doing poorly in even AAA, and the Rangers parted ways, and now he's with the Giants. We'll see what happens with Foscue. All right. Appreciate the follows, by the way. Thank you so much. Rocker going to come in hot this year. That's the guy that I feel like could make his mark this year. I'm not saying money in the bank, go take it to the sportsbook counter, but I do think that out of all the guys that we have after DeGrom and Evo, Rocker is the guy that I would probably bet on to step up and be that dude, that guy that could probably be your number 3 in the playoffs. Maybe that's a lot to put on him. I don't really want to put it on him yet at this point, but I do think that he has that makeup. The stuff is nasty. He's got the pedigree. I really do think that he is going to be the one with the highest potential out of all the other Ranger starters not named Evo or DeGrom that really establishes themselves towards the top end of the Rangers rotation. Let's see. What else? Anything? Oh, I think I got caught up. Appreciate all y'all. Let me see if I got anything else for you before we close up the show today, huh? Let me see if we got anything else. So, by the way, found this out about Jock Peterson and his deal. So, Jock Peterson does have an opt-out after this year, after 2025. Jock can totally opt out of his contract. That being said, the Rangers can actually void his opt-out by exercising the mutual option for 2027, which would essentially like roll the current deal forward, and it would make it like a 2-year, $37 million deal for 26-27. So if Jock decides to opt out, he absolutely kills it this year. And he's like, man, I could be making more than 17, 18, 19 million a year, whatever it is. The Rangers could exercise that mutual option and keep him on board for 2026 and 2027. They could obviously decide not to do that and let him walk. But I do like that they've got that option if Jock Peterson decides to opt out. And then also Jock Peterson's deal, according to an AP article that I read, Associated Press article, it does have a no trade clause. So Jock is not going to be a guy that you can trade away easily. I mean, you could definitely talk to him if things went south this year. Hey, would you be open to a trade? Do you have teams that you wouldn't mind going to? But Jock does have a full no trade clause in his contract. All right, let's see what I got. Anything else here? Let's see. Going through all my notes. I think we're actually pretty good. And we're going about an hour so far. So things I'm looking forward to for the rest of the offseason. What do the Rangers do with the closer position? Do they stick with the guys they got? Do they go out and make a splash? And then what are the ripple effects of that? Do you have to trade somebody to make a little bit more room with the salary situation? What's going to happen with some of these guys that are making pretty good money this year for the Rangers, like John Gray, Tyler Mahle? I kind of wonder, you go out and get a top-notch closer. Is one of those two guys maybe on the trade block and on their way out of town? Also, looking to see, are the Rangers done in the starting pitching market? Are you going to see them emerge, go get a guy that can add even more depth, maybe slide into that number 3 role? Then you've got Cody Bradford as your number 4. You've got Tyler Mahle kind of as your number 5 guy, or flip-flop that, maybe Mahle 4, Bradford 5. And then as your 6th man, you've got Rocker, you've got Leiter, you've got some different guys that you can work in. So we'll see what happens. I'm really curious. I think a lot could happen in the next month. Rangers possibly going to be signing some more international players. We're going to try and keep track of all of it for y'all. And of course, you guys know every Wednesday is our Rangers offseason show. So I do hope you'll come back next Wednesday. Things are kind of at a weird spot right now. Cowboys season over, Longhorns season over, Rangers season not yet started. We're kind of at that gray area, the void, as I like to call it right now. I know the Mavericks are playing and college basketball is going. I'm a big football and baseball guy. I love basketball too, pretty much every sport. But look, that means we will do pretty much all off-season shows from here until spring training. In spring training, we may go live a couple times a week versus just the one time. I don't think we'll be going live after every spring training game. That might be a little bit overkill. And then I think we'll at minimum go live during the season once in every series. Maybe at the end of each series, we might still hop on and do a live show depending on the game. I might be a little more picky choosy with the lives that I do. Last year was pretty much every single game, and I loved it. I want to pace myself just a little bit, and I think I want to commit to, at minimum, the last game of every series going live, but I'll probably end up doing more than that. It just happens. There's like a crazy game, or even if the Rangers lose, there's something wild that happens in the game, I'm going to want to talk about it. So it will definitely be maybe a little bit less this year with the lives post-game. But if I had to put a number on it, I bet we'll still go live over 100 times for over 100 games. Maybe not 162 like I did last year. I think I did over 150 last year. I'm going to say over 100 this year. I don't think we'll make it to 150 again, 150 was impressive. Not trying to be arrogant, but I was proud of myself. Some of those games were super tough to get on afterwards and talk about. We're going to commit to at least 100 plus games this year. Take it down just a little bit. It's going to be great. And the community, the good group of people talking Rangers baseball and baseball in general keeps getting bigger and bigger. So the shows will keep getting better and better as well. Well, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. The next time I'll be live will probably be on Saturday. I am going to do a Longhorns off-season show on Saturdays. And then my lives for the Cowboys will be either on Sundays or Mondays, probably after the playoff games while playoff football is still going on. So if you're a Cowboys fan, a Longhorns fan, this weekend, you'll see me back on doing my thing, talking off-season for the Longhorns and Cowboys. If you're a fan of neither of those teams, but you just want to come hang out, please know you're welcome. But the next time I'll be on for Rangers will be a week from today. We will see what else unfolds between now and then. I'm excited. Appreciate all y'all that followed, that liked the live while we were going, that shared the live while we were going. If you know somebody that loves the Rangers, that loves baseball, I would love if you would share my channel with them, if you would share one of my videos with them, so we can keep growing this great group of people we got talking ball. And that's all I got. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.